Welcome to Birds of a Feather. This is your girl, AJ, the Suburban Princess here, back with another segment of 5 questions. This time, I'm totally going outside my friend zone and someone I've always wanted to ask about. We're kind of continuing the arts. My last interview was with a fellow actress slash burlesque dancer. So now I get to talk to someone who is just purely burlesque dance, wonderful in this field, and someone I've been very curious about. So please welcome to 5 questions, Miss Poison Ivory. Thank you.
Hey, hi there. Hey.
As you can tell, I'm a little blah. So
No,
we're just going to jump right in, girl. And thank you very much, by the way, for doing this once again.
of course. Thank you.
Okay, so my first question will always be kind of like a get to know you in one question if possible. But because I mentioned the word burlesque, I definitely want to know, what was the moment that you knew burlesque was something you wanted to do as a dream gig?
So it actually took a moment before I realized that I was going to fully commit to doing this full time. When I discovered burlesque, it was actually through Netflix. I had been at home watching everything. I had just moved to New York, actually. So this is back in 2010. It was my first real winter. I'm from Southern California, so I didn't know what to do with the snow. So I had that seasonal depression that made me watch everything that Netflix had to offer. And I stumbled across this documentary called A Wink and a Smile about the Seattle School of Burlesque. And I was really intrigued by it because it had all of these people from different walks of life taking these classes for different reasons. And it all accumulated with a performance at the end. And I just thought it was wonderful, but I didn't know that at the time, I didn't know that burlesque was still a thing. I only knew about it historically. I didn't know that there had actually been a revival or revival after revival after revival. So I started looking into it and I discovered that there was, in fact, a school of burlesque here in New York. So a friend of mine, as a birthday present, signed me up for classes. And at the time, I was an interior decorator, and also I did set decorating for television shows. That's what brought me to New York. So I wasn't looking to get back into the arts.
I'm giving it to you.
Come from a theatrical background. I was a theater major in school and everything. I kind of had let that go and was really happy with being behind the scenes. And so when I took the class, I was really enjoying it, learning how to tassel, twirl, and all of these things. And my friend who bought the classes for me told me that she really wanted to see me do a show while she was in town visiting. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know how to get a gig. I don't know, we just go to shows. I don't know how to actually get booked to perform in the shows. And so the next day I actually had another class, and the headmistress at the New York School of Burlesque, Jo Boobs Weldon, made the announcement that there would be a student showcase coming up. And the student showcase was going to be on May 12th, May 26th. And my friend was leaving on the 27th. Mm-hmm. So I just knew it was a sign from the universe that I had to do this one time, what do they call that, bucket list type of performance? Mm-hmm. Why not do it one time? Right. And so I did. I pulled together an act real fast in like a week's time, got a costume together, mm-hmm. got there, got on stage, had a full panic attack backstage. And I mean, I can go into so much detail about this, but I do want to get to answering your question. I would say that it was probably about halfway through my first performance, that I realized that, oh my goodness, this audience that is here, their applause and everything, they're doing that because of something that I'm actually bringing to the table. Like having a theater background and dancing and stuff like that, I always felt like I was recreating somebody else's art. Mm-hmm. And I really love the fact that in burlesque, I was able to set all the rules. I picked my own costumes, I picked my own music, I did my own choreography, and I really love that. And so I did that performance. Again, it was supposed to be a bucket list thing, but from that, I wound up getting the opportunity to compete in a new performer competition, did that competition, won the opportunity to perform in the New York Burlesque Festival, which is a huge festival here in New York. And that was my third or fourth time on stage. And so I took a minute and thought about it. And I was like, if I'm being guided to, from jump, having these huge opportunities to perform in these big ways, then it must mean that I'm meant to do this in some form. And, that big show led to a whole bunch of producers seeing me. Oh, sorry, there's a siren in the background.
That's okay. I expected that. Can't control the elements, right?
Yeah. But that big festival led to a whole bunch of local producers seeing me, which led to me being asked to be a part of a tour. So I was part of a traveling show for 2 years. And so, like, I wouldn't say that there was actually a moment where I knew that it was going to be my calling, I guess. I just kind of was like, I'm going to go with the flow with this. And, I did that tour for 2 years. And then as soon as I ended that tour, I won the title of Queen of Burlesque, my very first time trying. And that just solidified it for me that this needed to go ahead and continue to be my full-time, or at least, full-time. We all do a lot of things, but right. That I was going to really, really, really have a career inside of this field. It was really after I was crowned Queen of Burlesque, and I was like, okay, well, if you say so, then I'll do it. So it's a crazy story, but yeah, I felt it does feel totally meant to be. So
I was going to say that's, there's signs all over the place. Even if you're not the type of person that believes in signs, I just feel like you walked in and you were definitely in the right place, right time. And, I'm glad that panic attack didn't take over, because, you would hate to look back and say, Jesus,
Yeah, me too. I was like crying. It was horrible, but, I
can imagine.
Well, now, the
next question, I want to ask you now is definitely how you came up with Poison Ivory as your stage name.
So Ivory is my real last name. So I've always been known as Ivory. I played some sports growing up, and it just always kind of, people called me that. Even when I was in elementary school, people would make fun of me for having that last name, like, oh, Ivory, like the soap, blah, blah, blah. And I hated it for a really long time. But when I decided to start performing, I knew I wanted to incorporate it into my stage name somehow. But only thing I could have in my head was like Ebony and Ivory. And I was like, I don't want that, like, because I know I'm a Black woman, but I didn't want my name to be like an advertisement for my skin color. I wanted to, and also, with how things go with bookings and all kinds of stuff, I just didn't want that to be a part of my name. So I asked a friend of mine who I was working with, who I hadn't spoken to for a while, but he was really good at giving all of the people at our job like really cute nicknames. And so I just messaged him on the blue, and I was like, hey, Rick, if I was going to be a burlesque performer, what would my name be? And like, he responded back without hesitation, Poison Ivory, duh. And I was like, oh my God, like that is actually perfect.
Right.
And I think it really does speak to my performance style so much, like the ivory with like the pristine innocent and the poison, because I do feel like my performance style seamlessly jumps back and forth between the two. And I'm not sure if it was the name that gave me the performance style or what, but it suits and I love it so much. So I don't plan to be changing it, even though people accidentally call me Poison Ivy all the time. It is something that I'm willing to deal with because the name does mean so much to me. But it's Ivory, like the soap.
Ivory, right. And then I thought about that too, because when I first was seeing your performances, I kept in my head, I was thinking of the character Poison Ivy, but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh no, that's clever. I kind of like that. But you definitely have a style, the clips that I've seen, that I'm just like, holy crap. Like there's no way. I think the first time I actually saw you, I think it was the Peep Show here in Philly. I think were you part of that show, the Peep Show? Yes,
yes.
I think.
I did. I think I did it in 2016 or 17 with the big keyhole thing.
Yes, correct. Because that was the first time I actually could make it, because normally I would usually be working seasonally at the Link where the Eagles play, but I had quit the year before, and my friend who I used to work with in retail said, can you make the Peep Show this year? Because every December it came around and I always said, I can, I'm working a game. So we linked up that night, and my first instinct was like, homegirl is working that stage. And you're doing your
Thank you.
job when people remember you from the minute you start to the minute, like there was no lag. There's nothing that made me kind of want to, okay, just start talking to somebody. It just the whole time. So, but that's
Thank you.
always riveting,
I'm
and
so
that's
glad you're saying this because it really does validate I didn't mean to, I'm glad you're saying
no,
this because it really does validate my whole how I approach performing, and I teach a lot of classes as well. And I make sure that I try to instill that in all of my students, that when you're on from the moment you touch the stage to the moment you leave the stage. And actually, if you really want to go there, you're on from the moment you get out of your vehicle or off the
basically.
train, walking to the venue, because you don't know who you're going to run into. So you need to make sure that you're always in a situation or presenting yourself in a way that is going to add to what you bring to the stage, not like take away from it. So it means so much to me that I'm practicing what I preach. So
Yes,
thank you.
definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely, because I know I used to, and I still do, but I grew up always wanting to be an entertainer, but I couldn't figure out what direction. I started out liking acting, but when I went to UArts for a year, I realized that there were a lot of people that knew a lot more about theater than I did, but
Yeah.
I knew that I also realized there were definitely levels to acting. And usually I was always told to take theater for the foundation of it. So you
Mm-hmm.
understand the basics, where you stand on a stage. But I know
Yeah.
the one theme that's popular, even with my artist friends now, some are dancers, one's a belly dancer, one's I guess I call her a performance artist. And they all say that you have to bring it from the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I know at one point, I remember when I saw you in that show, I know at the time before the pandemic, I wanted you, and my friend was going to say, just ask her if she can be part of it. But of course, everything changed. But we wanted, another performer, if possible, another burlesque performer for our show. And I think it was just
Mm-hmm.
timing. And I think I couldn't reach out to you fast enough. But um, we would definitely love you if you came to Philly just
Of
to be
course.
part
I
of our
mean,
show.
I drive, so Philly is not hard for me to get to. I love performing. So, please hit me up the moment we're allowed to.
Yes,
You
yes.
know how to contact me.
Definitely. And I know from my friend who runs it, Jennifer, who's a belly dancer, she calls it Sabroso. And the whole theme of it was just for every artist to show a taste of what they do, because it goes
Mm-hmm.
back to what Sabroso means, kind of like tasty, saucy. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
she tries to do a Valentine's show, and I just feel like that would be perfect for you. But like I said,
Oh yeah.
this is hopefully, like you say, when things go back to normal. So, but definitely, I know she would be thrilled that I even mentioned the show, because,
Oh yeah.
we're all missing
Please
it.
keep me in mind. Let her know I'm
I will definitely.
definitely interested.
Yes. Thank you so much for even saying that on so now I got on tape so she can see it.
You got
So
it.
okay, so my next question would be, did you idolize any specific burlesque dancers all your life? And if so, was there one person that you're like, oh, I just love her style, or just even someone you think of instantly when you perform, maybe?
Mm-hmm,
Do you have
mm-hmm.
an alter ego because of that? That type of thing.
Okay, so no, I did not idolize any performers growing up because I didn't realize that burlesque was still happening. I only
Right.
thought of it
Okay.
historically. And even still, based off of my background and how I grew up, burlesque was very far from something that I would have found myself getting into. So no.
Mhm.
However, I always knew about Josephine Baker and stuff like that. And so when I did start performing, I knew that I wanted to honor my ancestors who, paved the way for me to be able to do this right now. As far as current legends go, I really look up to Pearl Noir, who eventually became one of my mentors, and I was a member of her burlesque house.
Mhm.
And she kind of, to me, is the new day Josephine Baker. I mean, her name is Pearl Noir, so she's actually named after Josephine Baker's tagline, which was the Black Pearl.
Right.
So I think that she really embodies what made Josephine so special, and she teaches that to all of the people who she is able to educate through burlesque. So I would say definitely Pearl Noir would be the one that I look up to and I think about when I'm creating pieces, because I want to make sure, because she's still here. I mean, she lives in New York, we talk all the time, and, because she's one of my teachers and because I'm a member of her house, it's like so important that I make sure I'm representing her when I'm taking the stage. As far as alter egos go, I would say that Poison Ivory is my alter ego. When I'm at home, I'm not like sauntering around the house. I have my baby and all that stuff. So like Poison Ivory is my Sasha Fierce, is my alter ego that I tap into when I'm putting my makeup on, getting ready and putting the lashes on. I really try to dive into what it is to be Poison Ivory and all that embodies. And so I take that energy with me. And Poison Ivory, is just built up of, honestly, trying to respect the people who did this before. Like, I know that there are a lot of people who are currently in the game outside of Pearl, who I love, who are really doing an amazing job. But I wanted to make sure that I, as a performer, stood apart from all of the other performers that are doing it right now. And the best way that I can do that is to really tap into the ones who are no longer here and drawing their energy and blessings into my performance. Nice. I hope that doesn't sound super woo crazy.
No, it sounds excellent.
I have in my hallway a whole wall of portraits from our legend performers who performed back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And so many of them are signed, and so many of them have actually passed away over the last 10 years that I've been doing this. And so every single time I walk down my hallway, I, remember them and I take in their energy, especially if I'm on my way out the door to go do a show. I really make sure that every time I take the stage, I'm honoring those who made it possible for me to do that. So
that's what's up. I hope
that answers your question.
No, that's what's up, because that's why I say, like, to me, I know there's a lot of performers that always talk about they have stage fright, but I know that what you just said, especially if you are a woman of color or Black, you definitely pull from some source on top of the fact that, you want to do a good performance. But that's an excellent answer, because that's how I would look at it too. I mean, my first role as an actress in high school was First Dead Woman, but I was the only Black person in the play. Wow. And I had 5 lines for a dead person. So that was big for me, just in my high school, being, very few Black people at the school. And so, but, I dove into it like it was an Oscar performance, even though I was sitting and staring straight ahead with my eyes watering, can't move, but no, that's an excellent answer. Now, you kind of answered my next one. So what I'm going to say is, because when you were talking about burlesque, you weren't sure it was still going on. I'm going to talk about the music portion then, because usually when I've seen shows from friends of mine who perform, I know the music is very important to your routine. Do you kind of mix genres of music when you perform, or do you stick to a certain type because it puts you in that moment? Or do you sometimes maybe do like maybe a mix of a current song, or how do you stage? I do,
definitely. I would describe myself as a hybrid performer, in the sense that I do classic stylings. I usually use props like boas and fans. I would say, if any prop was my main thing, I would consider myself a fan dancer. But yeah, so I do take the classic and traditional elements of burlesque, and I typically merge them with more modern music. I only really use classic music if I have to, like if it's requested from the producers or the venues. Like sometimes I perform in shows that have like a certain theme and I have to work within the music. Right. And so, I try to make sure that I'm flexible in that way, where I'm not so stuck to my own actual tracks, that I'm able to merge my choreography into other types of music. But yeah, I definitely love performing to live music. And as far as the song, or not, well, live music too, but modern music is what I was trying to say. And honestly, the majority of the songs that I perform to that are my like I would say my, what's the word I'm looking for? My signature acts. Like, the first number that I created that I told you about earlier, which wound up being the same number that I won Queen of Burlesque with 3 years later. That was to Florence and the Machine. Girl with One Eye by Florence and the Machine. And then, you know, I perform a lot to like Portishead, like Glory Box from Portishead, like the sensual type of, I mean, I wouldn't even say that that's super modern because what's Portishead's like the 90s.
Yeah, but I mean, still.
But I'm more modern than not. Like I'm not typically performing to the standards or anything like that unless I have to.
Okay, cool. Because I know the last show I remember seeing years ago, a friend of mine did at the Underground right there off of Cow Hill. I forget the name of it. Underground Arts. And she did have a live band with it. And sometimes you just only need, you know, a horn and a drum and something like that. And that's all, you know, it's just, you know.
And a musician that knows how to work with the dancer, like that's really all you need.
Yes, my friend Jenny, the belly dancer, she has she relies heavily on percussion if she's not having a track because John, you know, it puts it more into the moves and the hips and everything. So, but yeah, no, that's awesome. And I wanted to ask you too, because now that you told me you were from Brooklyn, New York, I want to go to this Bathtub Gin.
Oh my God, I'm performing there on Tuesday.
Oh, I would. I wish I could come because I keep seeing it. I just started following that on Instagram because it looked like such a fun place to go. So might be my goals for 2021. I know I can't do it this close, but I definitely want to venture there because I love going to New York anyway, but it's got to be a weekend thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they do have Sunday shows there usually, but post-pandemic, well, still in pandemic, now all of the venues are at 25% capacity. So some of the, you know, traditional burlesque venues out here, they're slowly incorporating burlesque back into the mix. However, we're really not sure what's going to happen, if we're going to get shut down again or whatever. So most of the shows are kind of only being booked 1 or 2 weeks in advance, and just kind of like dealing with whoever's here. So Bathtub Gin just decided to do Tuesday shows, which was their first day that they started doing shows that got really, really popular. And then they branched into Sundays, and then they branched into Sunday brunches. And hopefully we will get back to that. But they just decided for the month of December, they were going to have a weekly show there again. And I will be back in the bathtub on Tuesday night, the first person in the tub since March. And I'm like super honored that the producers chose me to be the guinea pig, I guess, so to speak, because they're not allowed to splash or anything like that. So, you know, it's going to be interesting, but I can't wait to get back in that venue and back in that tub and drinking some of their really fancy cocktails because they're so delicious.
Oh, I know.
And they have a new chef apparently too, I hear she's amazing. So I'm really excited to try some food there also.
I know the cocktails, I saw the pictures and I just said, this place looks stellar. Like this looks like somewhere I would go for the weekend. Oh,
and it's a speakeasy. So it's not even, you can't see it from the street. There's a coffee shop in the front. And so you can just buy a coffee and leave. Or if you know that there's something going on back there, you know, you can actually get let into the back where the whole venue is. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. They actually, right before shutdown, did all these new renovations to it, which was like so sad because we didn't really get to enjoy them. And here I am doing a whole infomercial about this bar that I do not own.
I know. I'm definitely going to put the website besides your information on the.
Yeah.
Plug.
But, you know, I do recommend it. It is a good show. It is a really, really good show there.
Well, I'm excited for you for Tuesday night. And I hope there's some way we can see a little bit of a snippet of a video on your page, because I know for sure I want to see exactly how it came out.
I'm definitely going to try to ask. I mean, it is one of those venues that don't allow any recording, but I'm going to see if one of the girls can help me out and just do a little sneaky poo or wear a little badge or something just to get some footage, because I have one like kind of shaky blurry video of me in the bathtub, and I'd like to have that documented a little bit more. So yes, thank you for the reminder. I definitely am going to try to get a little bit of footage on Tuesday night so I can share that with everyone.
Now, do you have to are you going to wear a mask with your performances for now?
Yes, we have been. And there's a couple of venues that I've opened up. I would say I've done like 3 live performances since Halloween. That's when I kind of started doing it again. And yeah, masks are required only because the patrons don't, when they're sitting at their tables, they don't have to wear the mask, but because we're traveling through, we do have to wear a mask. And then there's some venues that actually have the stage and stuff like that, we don't have to wear it when we're on the stage because we're usually like some 15 feet apart from people. Right. But at Bathtub Gin, it is a floor show, meaning that the performances happen in between the tables and around everything. So I will be wearing a mask until I get into the bathtub, because Lord knows when masks get wet, you cannot breathe. You cannot breathe.
No.
I was roller skating the other day and sweating, and I was like, oh my God, I need to change this mask out because the sweat made it, not work. So
yeah, at this point, masks for me, I'm like, I think I'm up to 10 now. And it's like, I finally got one that was blinged out because that was my so crazy. That was my goal. Like, cause I'm like, I'm sick of these boring cloth ones. I want something that sparkles, so, but it had a message. It's like Black Lives Matter and then the fist. So I'm like, at least I'm being conscious and cute. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But, and my final question that I always ask, that I started asking when I first started doing this project was, because 2020 is obviously going to be in the history books as the most taxing year. I've been asking people, and some people it was hard to come up with one, but I'm going to ask you first, what word would you say describes 2020 in a nutshell?
Reset. Like, I think that the world is kind of forcing everyone to take a moment to sit the F down and like regroup, reconnect. I mean, in a different type of way, but like, many of us are like, go, go, go. And, over this year for me, for example, I was supposed to be traveling to different countries. I was supposed to be in New Zealand. I was supposed to go back to, I was supposed to be doing all kinds of stuff. And when the pandemic first hit, it was shocking because I had all of these plans that were instantly canceled. But on the flip side of that, I got to be here and see my daughter take her first steps. I got to be around to see my baby growing up. So I've actually found an appreciation for this time because it's allowed me to reset, to focus back on the things that are really important, to get back in the kitchen and start cooking foods again rather than constantly ordering on the go, go, go. Having everything kind of shut down and taken away really made me realize, like, what are the things that are most important? What are the things that I'm building my foundation on? Because those things are stable. And that's what I wanted to put my energy into. So I've just been, I just moved into this apartment. And so I've been spending a lot of time just like nesting and, just really appreciating the fact that I'm home. Because, I didn't really have the luxury to stay at home because I had to, pay my bills. Right. And even still, obviously it's a struggle being a full-time performer and not having a regular income, but I would not trade the time that I've had at home these last few months for anything, because being able, like I said, to be there when my daughter took her first steps, when I was actually scheduled to be out of town that week, was like such a big moment for me and made me, stop feeling sorry for myself and actually appreciating what this is. And I know this pandemic has been hard for a lot of people. There's been a lot of lives lost and, it's still a struggle out there. And I'm hoping that more people actually take the opportunity to realize that this is a moment for them too, to reset and regroup and, figure out what their priorities are all over again and like what matters to them. And, for those who are going through the shutdown again, a lot of us had a lot of big dreams during the first time everything got shut down that many of us did not, actually follow through with. But I'm hoping that, for those places that have had to go through that they're taking this second chance to like really figure out what they're doing to better their own lives, because like going to the stores and all that stuff is fun, but is it really bringing you like true joy the way spending time with your family in a real way does? Being able to figure out what you need to make you happy. Like for me, I've really dug deep into therapy and stuff like that, healing old wounds while I have the time to do it. So yeah, that's what it's been. It's just been a reset for me.
Boom. And that's as soon as you said that word, that's how I described it. And I think I even had tweeted it one time and then, or I might have said cultural reset, because I think we were talking about random subjects about, you know, everything of the political unrest and obviously
Yeah.
the woke mode we all became
Oh
after
yeah.
the George Floyd and all these police brutality incidents. And then someone had said, it's not a cultural reset. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I just said, okay.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not
also,
gonna,
why you ain't nobody got time to fight about that.
please.
There's so much else going on. Ain't nobody gonna fight with you. You
I
believe
went
what
through
you
the
believe.
rabbit hole a couple of times when the beginning of the
Mhm.
quarantine. I'm not gonna lie, but then I finally said, you know what? I keep seeing these memes that say save your energy, and it's the
Yeah.
truth. Like it's just
And that's 100% what I am doing. Like,
yeah.
I have no time for things that don't bring me some sort of peace or joy or like make me feel like I'm doing something. If it feels like a struggle, I'm
Mm,
getting off that bus. Like, no, I can't. That's somebody else's job. My job is to be here and like making sure that I'm good, saving my energy. And, you know,
and
I
being
don't feel bad about it because look, it's hard enough being like a Black queer woman, you know, trying to survive in a world of entertainment already, you know.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I know that I was carrying so much before this pandemic hit on my shoulders. And you
mm-hmm.
know, the one thing that was as awful as everything has happened since George Floyd's murder, it was hope. I found a little bit of hope in, you know, not, of course this is the same old thing happening over and over again, none of this is new for us, but I did find a little bit of hope in some of our, you know, non people of color who are actually getting out there in the streets to make a difference, because I'm tired and I know so many other people of color are just really 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 tired.
Please.
So I've definitely decided that I was going to, you know, pick my battles and do so guilt free. Like, I don't have anything to prove to anybody. So I'm
Amen.
not.
Amen. Amen. I mean, honestly,
Mhm.
you said it pretty much. I've been repeating the same way of thinking because we, like you said, as Black women, we have to kind of deal with that. And I have a
Mhm.
lot of friends who are not Black who did feel this on their shoulders to kind of connect to me again. And I kind of want to be like, that's why you're my friend. You don't have to explain to me. We're
Yeah.
just trying to make sure these other people realize like this is what you have not been paying attention to for years.
Yes.
And now we got time to sit around and realize like, huh, you know,
Mhm.
and it's just, you're right. It is a reset because we have to kind of deal with the crap that we put out there and centuries and, you know, lives before have dealt with and fought for in the flesh.
Mhm.
And now we're fighting. So, but you're right. I'm so glad you did this with me.
Mhm.
I'm just telling you, it's one of these things that it's very encouraging to touch base with people, especially people you can't physically meet, and actually have a talk to. So I appreciate you doing this. And if you have any questions for me, feel free if you want to ask me something. If not, I'm blessed for this whole
Okay,
interview.
you know, I think this has been a really good dialogue and we have gone back and forth quite a bit. And, you
Mhm.
know, it's nice to, you know, speak to a like-minded person. You know, again, we're
Yeah.
very cut off from a lot of people, but it's actually, this has been really nice for me. I'm so glad that we were able to do this. Yeah, congratulations on this. I'm glad that you're branching out from what you've been doing and just to keep those creative juices flowing. Much
Yes.
respect. I'm kind of doing the same thing and starting this like little YouTube channel, just trying to figure out some way to
Hmm.
like do the things that I love in a different format.
Right, format.
So, you know, respect to that. And I hope nothing but success with this. And I love the 5 questions. I think that that's like a really good, you know,
It's just enough because, you
angle,
know,
a little
it's just
hook.
enough. It leads you to other venues because obviously you have many gifts outside of burlesque. But now that I've seen burlesque, it's like, girl, you could do anything you want. You making me feel like I can do anything I want. So God bless you and
Thank
the
you.
baby and
Thank
your
you.
family and happy
Thank you very much.
holidays.
Same to
And
you. Same to you.
someday I'm definitely going to make my way out to New York. And Beth, you
Oh
can
yeah.
book it. I will be there
Yes,
soon. So,
definitely.
but thank you and take care and have happy holidays. And I will see you on social media and we'll hopefully talk again.
Okay, thank you so much, AJ. I appreciate it so much. All right, have a good day. I
You
guess
too.
we're
Have a
done.
good one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye. Happy
Bye bye.
holidays.